Let me ask you something. You did everything right. You got the job, the promotion, the house. You drive a reliable car. You're saving into your 401k. On paper, you're winning. So why does it still feel like you're losing? Why does it feel like everyone is ahead of you? That feeling isn't stress. It's not you being ungrateful. That's pattern recognition. Because the same things you were told would make you successful are the exact things quietly keeping you stuck. Not in a dramatic way, not all at once, just slowly, month after month, until one day you look up and realize you've been running on a treadmill that keeps getting faster, while your life stays in the same place. I'm Marcus, and if you don't understand this, you can work hard for the next 20 years and still feel behind. 74% of Americans have a financial regret. The number one regret for people in their 40s and 50s, not starting early enough. Not because they were lazy, but because they fell into traps that looked like good decisions at the time. Traps everyone around them was making. Traps that felt like progress, but were actually quicksand. These aren't obvious mistakes. These are traps disguised as responsible adulthood. The house, the car, the lifestyle, things that look right on the outside, but quietly drain your future. I'm going to show you the traps that keep people stuck in their 30s and 40s. Not the obvious ones, the dangerous ones, the ones that feel like progress while pulling you further behind. Let's start with the first trap, and it's a big one, the trap of buying more house than you can afford. I know what you're thinking. I'm not an idiot, Marcus. I got pre-approved for the mortgage. The bank said I could afford it. But here's the problem with that logic. The bank's definition of affordable has nothing to do with your actual life. When a lender pre-approves you for a mortgage, they are calculating the maximum amount you can technically pay without defaulting immediately. They don't factor in your daycare costs. They don't factor in the fact that you want to take a vacation occasionally. They don't factor in saving for retirement or building an emergency fund. They calculate what you can survive on, not what you can thrive on. According to the Atlanta Fed's Housing Ownership Affordability Monitor, owning a median-priced home now consumes nearly 48% of the median household's income. That's almost half of everything you earn going to one expense. The traditional definition of affordable housing says you should spend no more than 30%. We've blown past that by a mile. And it gets worse. Nearly 75% of American households cannot afford a median-priced new home in 2025. Households earning $100,000, which sounds like a lot, can only afford 37% of listings. Compare that to 2019 when the same income could afford 65% of listings. In 6 years, the options for middle-income families have been cut nearly in half. Here's what happens when you stretch to buy the bigger house. You get approved for $400,000. The house is beautiful. It has the extra bedroom, the nice kitchen, the yard your kids can play in. But after the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and utilities, you have nothing left. You're house rich and cash poor. Every unexpected expense becomes a crisis. Every month feels tight. You can't save. You can't invest. You're just surviving. The right move is to buy significantly below what you're approved for, maybe 70% of your maximum approval. This leaves room for everything else: retirement contributions, emergency savings, childcare, the actual cost of living your life. A smaller house with financial margin beats a bigger house with financial stress every single time. The second trap is one that catches almost everyone, the car payment trap. The average monthly payment on a new car in 2026 is $772. That's not a typo. Over $700 a month just for transportation. And here's the terrifying part. More than 20% of new car buyers are now committing to monthly payments over $1,000. 22% of borrowers are taking out 84-month loans just to make those payments manageable. 7 years of payments on a depreciating asset. Let me show you what that actually costs. If you're paying $750 a month for a car, that's $9,000 a year. Over a 6-year loan, you'll pay $54,000, but the car will be worth maybe $15,000 to $20,000 when you're done. You've lost $35,000 to depreciation, and that's before you factor in insurance, which averages another $225 a month for full coverage, plus gas, maintenance, and repairs. Now imagine if instead of that $750 car payment, you bought a reliable used car for $15,000 cash or financed it for 3 years at $300 a month. The difference? $450 a month invested in an index fund averaging 8% returns over 30 years would grow to over $670,000. Every expensive car you buy is a trade. You are trading future wealth for present comfort. That's your choice to make, but make it consciously. Understand what you're giving up. The car trap is especially dangerous in your 30s and 40s because this is when income rises and lifestyle inflation kicks in. You got a raise, so you upgrade the car. You got promoted, so you deserve the nicer model. Your neighbor bought a new SUV, so yours looks dated. These pressures are constant and subtle, and they drain wealth silently. The third trap is childcare, and this one is brutal because there's often no way around it. The average cost of daycare in the United States is over $17,000 per year for one infant. In expensive states like Massachusetts or Washington, D.C., it's over $24,000. For two children, one infant and one toddler, families are paying an average of $28,000 a year nationally. In some states, that's more than rent. Parents surveyed by Care.com report that childcare consumes about 20% of their household income. Add in other caregiving costs for aging parents, pets, and household help, and the average family spends 37% of their income on care-related expenses. This creates a devastating squeeze during precisely the years when you should be building wealth. Your 30s and early 40s are supposed to be prime earning and saving years. Instead, families are treading water, barely covering childcare while putting almost nothing toward retirement. The trap isn't childcare itself. You need childcare. The trap is not accounting for it properly when making other financial decisions. People buy expensive houses, lease expensive cars, and then discover they can't afford quality childcare. Or they can afford childcare, but nothing else. No savings, no investments, no cushion. If you're planning to have children, factor childcare into your housing decision. Factor it into your car decision. Factor it into your entire lifestyle. Because for 5 to 6 years per child, this expense will dominate your budget. Plan for it before you commit to other things. The fourth trap is lifestyle inflation. This one doesn't feel like a trap at all. It feels like a reward. You started your career making $50,000. Now you make $90,000. Your income went up 80%, but somehow you're not saving 80% more. You might not be saving anything at all anymore. Where did the money go? It went everywhere. Better apartment, then a house, nicer car, more dinners out, premium subscriptions, upgraded phone every year, business class instead of economy that one time which became every time, private school because you can afford it now, a vacation that cost twice what your old vacations cost. Each individual upgrade seemed reasonable. You earned it. You work hard. You deserve nice things. And that's all true. But the cumulative effect is that your expenses grew exactly as fast as your income, leaving you with the same margin you had when you made half as much. Research shows that real wages for middle-class Americans grew only about 12% over the past 2 decades, despite nominal wages nearly doubling. The gap between what you earn and what you keep hasn't improved because expenses keep pace with earnings. Inflation on necessities like housing, healthcare, childcare, and education has outpaced wage growth, and then lifestyle inflation consumes whatever's left. The defense against lifestyle inflation is intentionality. Every time your income increases, decide in advance how much of that increase will go to improving your lifestyle and how much will go to improving your future. A good rule is 50% to savings or debt payoff and 50% to lifestyle. Your life gets better, but so does your balance sheet. The fifth trap is the debt normalization trap. Americans owe $18.8 trillion in consumer debt. The average household carries over $15,000 in debt. Gen X, people currently in their mid-40s to late 50s, has the highest debt load of any generation. People ages 40 to 49 hold $4.8 trillion in total debt, more than any other age group. And here's what's wild. This feels normal. Everyone has a mortgage. Everyone has a car payment. Most people have credit card balances. Student loans stretch into your 40s and 50s. When debt is universal, it stops feeling like a problem. It just feels like life. But debt has a compound cost, just like investments have compound growth. The average credit card interest rate exceeds 20%. If you carry a $6,000 balance and make minimum payments, you'll pay that debt for decades and spend thousands in interest. Meanwhile, that money isn't being invested. The opportunity cost is staggering. The normalization of debt is the trap. Just because everyone around you is in debt doesn't mean it's optimal. Aggressively paying down high-interest debt should be treated as an emergency, not a casual multi-year project. Every dollar of credit card interest is a dollar that could have been growing in your retirement account. The sixth trap is the retirement procrastination trap. I know you've heard about compound interest. You've seen the charts showing how someone who invests early ends up with more than someone who starts late. You understand the concept, but understanding doesn't translate to action for most people. 54% of American households have no dedicated retirement savings. The median retirement balance for people 55 to 64 is only $185,000. That sounds like a lot until you realize it needs to fund 20 to 30 years of living. The trap works like this. In your 30s, retirement feels too far away to prioritize. You have more urgent needs: house down payment, weddings, student loans, childcare. You'll catch up later. In your 40s, you realize you're behind, but now you have bigger expenses and helping kids with college feels more pressing. You'll definitely catch up in your 50s. By your 50s, the math is brutal. You'd need to save 30% or more of your income to make up for lost time. Most people can't do that. The tax code actually tries to help with this. In 2026, you can contribute up to $24,500 to a 401k plus $8,000 in catch-up contributions if you're over 50. If you're between 60 and 63, there's a super catch-up that allows $11,250 extra, but these provisions only help if you use them. The minimum viable retirement strategy for someone in their 30s and 40s is this. Contribute at least enough to get your full employer match, then max out a Roth IRA at $7,500 and automate both so you never see the money. If that feels painful, cut something else because future you will be incredibly grateful. The seventh trap is the suburban sprawl trap. This one operates at the intersection of housing and transportation. You buy a house in the suburbs because it's more affordable, but the commute requires 2 cars. You spend more on gas, insurance, and maintenance. You spend more hours driving, which means less time for side hustles or second jobs. Restaurants and entertainment options are farther away and somehow more expensive when you account for the driving. Studies consistently show that people underestimate the true cost of commuting, not just the direct costs of gas and car maintenance, but the opportunity cost of time, the wear on your health and relationships, and the hidden expenses of suburban living. A house that costs $50,000 less but requires an hour commute each way might actually cost more over time than the pricier house close to work. When evaluating housing, factor in the full transportation cost. Add up 2 car payments, 2 insurance policies, gas for commuting, and maintenance. Then compare that to the premium you'd pay for a house in a location where you could get by with 1 car or no car. The eighth trap is keeping up with your income peers. When you were making $40,000, your friends were making similar amounts. Your lifestyle expectations aligned. But as you move into your 30s and 40s, income dispersion happens. Some of your peers make twice what you make, some make half, but social expectations don't adjust accordingly. Your neighbor drives a Tesla. Your coworker talks about their European vacation. Your college friend just bought a lake house. These data points create pressure to match, to prove that you're doing equally well, but you don't know their full picture. Maybe they inherited money. Maybe they're drowning in debt behind that lifestyle. Maybe their spouse makes 3 times what yours makes. Social comparison is a trap because it disconnects spending from your actual financial situation. The only relevant comparison is between your current self and your financial goals. If you're on track for your goals, it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. If you're not on track, matching their spending definitely won't help. The ninth trap is the perfect timing trap. I'll start investing when the market is lower. I'll buy a house when prices drop. I'll negotiate a raise when the company is doing better. I'll start saving when I make more money. This trap disguises inaction as strategy. You tell yourself you're being smart by waiting for optimal conditions. But optimal conditions rarely arrive, and when they do, you find new reasons to wait. The market drops, but you're scared to buy during uncertainty. House prices drop, but now you're worried about job security. The company does better, but so do your expectations for what you deserve. Time in the market beats timing the market. Starting now with imperfect conditions beats waiting indefinitely for perfect conditions that never materialize. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. The 10th trap, and this is perhaps the most insidious, is the busy trap. You're so busy working, commuting, caring for kids, managing the house, and handling daily crises that you never have time to think strategically about your finances. You never sit down and actually calculate whether you're on track. You never research better options for insurance, investments, or debt consolidation. You never negotiate your salary or look for higher paying jobs. You're working hard but not working smart on your financial life. The busyness itself becomes an excuse to stay in default mode. Keep paying the bills you've always paid. Keep the subscriptions you've always had. Keep the financial habits that aren't serving you. Busy is not a badge of honor when it prevents you from optimizing the single most important resource you have, which is money. Carve out time quarterly to review your finances. Schedule it like any other important meeting, because 1 hour of financial review can save you thousands of dollars and years of catching up. Here's what makes these traps especially dangerous. They don't operate in isolation. They compound. You stretch for the bigger house, which requires a longer commute. The longer commute requires 2 reliable cars, which means 2 car payments. The financial stress from the house and cars makes you feel like you deserve nice things, so lifestyle inflation creeps in. The lifestyle inflation leaves nothing for retirement savings. The lack of retirement savings creates anxiety, but you're too busy managing the house, the cars, the commute, and the childcare to actually address it. One trap leads to another. Each one makes the others harder to escape. By the time you recognize the pattern, you're caught in a web of interconnected financial decisions that all seem reasonable in isolation, but create suffocation in combination. This is why the solution isn't just avoiding one trap. It's recognizing that every major financial decision affects every other one. The house you buy determines the car you need. The car you drive determines the money available for childcare. The childcare cost determines what's left for retirement. It's all connected. The people who build wealth in their 30s and 40s aren't necessarily smarter or luckier. They're more intentional. They see the connections before committing to decisions. They leave margin in their budgets instead of maximizing every category. They optimize for flexibility rather than status. Let me tell you what happens if you avoid these traps. You buy a modest house with room to breathe. You drive a reliable used car and invest the difference. You plan for childcare before committing to other expenses. You save half of every raise. You pay down debt aggressively instead of normalizing it. You start retirement contributions early and let compound interest do the work. You live close enough to work that transportation doesn't eat your wealth. You ignore what everyone else is doing and focus on your own goals. You stop waiting for perfect timing and start now. You make time for financial strategy even when life is busy. Do all of that and you're not running on a treadmill anymore. You're making actual progress, building actual wealth, creating actual options for your future. The traps I've described aren't moral failures. They're structural features of the financial environment we live in. Banks profit when you borrow more than you should. Car dealers profit when you finance more than you need. The entire consumer economy is designed to capture every dollar of income growth before you can save it. You're not bad at money. You're in an environment optimized to separate you from money. Once you see that, you can start making different choices. The ground doesn't have to crumble beneath your feet, but you have to stop walking toward the cracks. If you're in your 30s, you have time. Use it. Start now, even with small amounts. Build the habits that compound over decades. If you're in your 40s, you still have time, but less of it. Be more aggressive. Cut expenses that don't serve your goals. Maximize your retirement contributions. Prioritize wealth building over lifestyle. The traps are real, but so is the path around them. You just have to be willing to walk it. If this helped you see money differently, hit like and subscribe. I break down the financial traps most people don't even realize they're in. Drop a comment and tell me which trap hits the hardest for you: the house, the car, lifestyle inflation, debt, or retirement procrastination. And if you're serious about building wealth in your 30s and 40s, stay close, because that's exactly what we do here. I'm Marcus, and I'll see you in the next one.